Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat, and you can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNerd on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
Columbia down the way.
And those sound effects that you heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of King, Brooklyn.
You hadn't pulled that one out in a minute. Nice. And this is the Comic Book Chronicles, where you can find us at the Coleslaw the Podcast Network. That's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coleslaw the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe, and to give us all the 5-star reviews.
Yeah. You could also find us recording every Thursday, mostly every Thursday night, with the exception of what I'm about to say after this, on twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles and youtube.com/The Kliq Nation.
Again, please hit like, subscribe, give us the great reviews, and also hit the notification button so that you know when we are on, and we'll be talking about that for next week specifically shortly.
Yeah, and with that, hey, next week, not only being the third week of Black History Month, is the premiere of...
it's only the second full week.
Well, no, I know that, but...
Oh, okay.
But I'm talking about next week. But yeah.
I got...
But next week, we will be going on Movie Protocol because the premiere of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is going to happen when we record, and we're both going separately.
Yes, and we're not 100% sure when we'll be recording, if at all, next week. We may be postponing to the week after, depending on our personal schedules. We will keep everyone informed.
So stay tuned to our aforementioned social medias for that, and we'll definitely let folks know. Yeah, this is pretty much the start of Movie Protocol season for us. Actually, that should probably be a thing.
Yeah, right.
Because, you know, every time like movies happen, we don't hit all of them, as we have already established last week, but or the week before last, whichever that was. But most of the ones we hit, we pretty much try to hit on the day they come out.
Right. We are trying to avoid spoilers, folks. We're trying to be as well informed as possible for when we next convene the Comic Book Chronicles.
Yep. And they had already had, which I think I saw a potentially spoilerish article that I do have saved up for the next thing from the premiere that happened last week, which I know why they do that. I get that part, but at the same time, it's like, okay, spoilers are going to happen after that. People can't help themselves. Like, yeah, not everybody goes to the premiere, but some things end up happening.
Of course.
So, and apparently Feige almost got. So,
oh no.
Apparently, but yeah, that's another story for another time.
You mean he almost let one slip, or are you talking about that story about Perlmutter?
No, no, I think he almost let one slip from what the title.
Oh,
suggested.
Wow! I was about to say he must have forgot his extra cup of coffee that day. Huh?
I know, right? The head of the Marvel snipers is forgetting stuff, so you know. It's a lot.
You know, they're just like, you cannot fire.
Exactly. But like I said, we will definitely talk about that.
But sir, our orders. You cannot fire on Kevin Feige.
I know, right? Which actually, weirdly enough, kind of brings us to what we're going to start off with, which is, you know, the apparent mid-season two-parter for for The Bad Batch, which is season 2's episodes 7 and 8. So
Yes.
so
episode 7 titled The Clone Conspiracy, and episode 8 titled Truth and Consequences. And believe it or not, these titles carry very much meaning.
Yeah, very much. And even callbacks to in more ways than one, Clone Wars episodes of similar nature.
Right. And not a Spider-Man story that is best left in the past.
Well, they haven't left it too far, because we've gotten how many we've gotten in the last couple of years.
I mean, I honestly kind of groaned when I thought of that one when I was reading it. You know, when I saw the title on the screen, when I saw the title screen,
right,
I kind of groaned. I was like, no, not conspiracy.
right. It was like, wait, but we've been dealing with clones the whole time in this particular case. So
right. That's when exactly. That's exactly why I was like, oh, okay, no.
Right.
They have the right to call. They have the right to title an episode or a story that they absolutely do.
But at the same time, I get you. Like, oh god. No, not again. Because we already know somebody else is getting one. We already talked about that. I'm like, come on, man. Stop with the clones.
Yes. Send in the clones.
Exactly. Right. But to go with brief strokes on both of those episodes, I will say that despite the name of the show, the Bad Batch did not show in the first episode of the 2.
Correct.
But at the same time, you see where they come in the next one, but also you get, let's just say you get a part of, as Agent 70 and I was talking before the show, you get a story that you didn't expect to actually ever see start to play out with both of these episodes, but definitely in this first one, starts the ball rolling on it.
Right. It's a story that had been hinted at, whispered about over the course of the many ages of Star Wars that we've seen in the wake of the prequels. Right. Because once the prequels really cemented what the Clone Wars were fought over and what they were about, I think that the transition between that era of Imperial or Empire or Republic soldier to the stormtroopers that we see in A New Hope and going forward, had always been hinted at, as we said, but here we actually legitimately see the story being told, kind of being retconned, as it were.
Right. So, like I said, we don't want to go too far into it because it's pretty still fresh as of this recording, coming out the day prior to this. It's safe to say that it's which Bad Batch has been pretty good. Like, I know I guess people have had issues with a couple of episodes here and there for reasons, but I think this one will pretty much bring it home, or at least bring it to a point to where it was like, okay, let's see what's going. Let's see where this ends up.
Right.
I'm trying so very hard because there's a couple of things like I really would love to talk about in the course of these 2 episodes. But because it was a mid-season thing, and I was like, geez, I hope they're not getting like anime and just start getting. I know I think probably Clone Wars is probably and Rebels has done this before. It's like, yeah, you got a bunch of episodes and then kind of go off so they can finish the rest of the season, and then doing that. But 8 episodes seemed a little short for that, but then again, I also recognize that that's kind of the way a lot of shows have been doing, live action or not, or animated or not. So this is kind of the way things are now, basically. Like, yeah, you got a smaller block of shows that happen, and then they go and go off for a little while, finish and bring in the rest later. They can also sell them that way, but that's the
Right. So did they announce that this is going on like a brief hiatus?
I didn't. That
Or
was
is
a
it
part of
coming
it I
back
did
this
not
week?
see. Yeah, that was the part I didn't see. I just
Or they just produce, or did they just release a second episode, an extra episode this week, just so that they could fit into some sort of release window because there's something else coming out on Disney Plus?
yeah, I thought
Uh,
about that, but we're not getting Mandalorian until March.
how
So
many more Bad Batch are we getting?
that part I don't know. Like I said, if they're saying this is a mid-season thing, I'm thinking there might be. I haven't seen one way or the other though, so I don't. This is just speculation on my part. I assume they're going to not have some for a few weeks and then come back. But like I said, I haven't seen anything one way or
Oh
the
my
other.
goodness, that's crazy that the Mandalorian's coming in less than a month. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like 2 weeks. Well, not excuse me, no, it's like 3 weeks. But
Yeah, 3 weeks. Three
yeah.
weeks. Goodness gracious. All right, next up. No, I'm kidding. But no, no, but in all seriousness, we kind of covered these Bad Batch episodes.
Yeah.
The second episode really does follow up directly on the first episode, and we do get to see a little bit of Palpatine twisting the truth and the facts to serve his own purposes. And the attorney on the panel was like, "Oh, nice."
So yeah, we've
I
definitely
was like,
seen.
okay.
The funny part
I
about
was
so
like, yo.
So I was gonna say this, and I totally forgot. I was like, yeah, this is the thing that you come to Star Wars animated properties for: political intrigue and grandiose entrances. and we pretty much got both of them in these 2 episodes. And yeah, the whole Palpatine, which I guess that's spoiler because yeah, but nevertheless, that whole thing was like, huh. They're playing out of the same playbook as the prequels, and
Yep.
it worked the same way. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, sure, this is what we're going for. This is what we got going. But it was
Yep.
kind of cool. It was like, yeah, they check and mate. They fell straight
Sure.
up into it again.
Exactly. It's like, oh, this is how democracy dies. To
Mhm.
applause.
Exactly, and I thought about that exactly when it happened. It was like we didn't actually get that sound bite, but it was like, yep, it's pretty much the same thing. So it needless to say, both episodes ended up being pretty great and kind of sad in a way that we won't talk about because the ending of the 8th episode kind of not only brings up a couple of things and takes away something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that works out. To find out what and who that might be, you got to find out for your own. If you haven't by the time you hear this program.
I was taken a little bit by surprise by that.
A
little bit, because I thought it was a twist. I thought it was a twist on what I thought they were going to do, which is, a swerve on what they were on what I thought they were going to do, because I thought they were going to do more A-team things, but geared towards, geared towards a certain purpose,
right,
as opposed to being strictly mercenaries.
Right. I agree with you, but at the same time, I do remember the exact moment this was kind of telegraphed, and that was like probably about 3 or 4 episodes ago by something a character says.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, something's going to. I was like you said, you didn't know this was going to happen, but I thought,
Right.
especially when the start of this episode happened, I was like, okay, something's very much going to happen here, and it kind of wasn't what I expected, but in a way, it kind of was because of like I said, the telegraphing from a few episodes back.
Right.
So
Right. Let's just say that D. Bradley Baker does a lot of voices in this episode.
which he does anyway, but yeah, in this particular case,
he does a lot of voices in this episode.
Yeah, I would love to see a VO session with him, because I know obviously they have to break that up, but at the same time, like it's just him going from one mic to the other or something, or something like that. I don't know, but I would love to see
I can
VO
only
session.
assume that he changes like his facial expression so that he can really change the voice pattern and the emotion and the timing that each separate character has.
Right. And also shout out to him and shout out to them because they did that which is kind of sad if you play Destiny, which Age of 70 I know it does not, but it doesn't matter. If you're a Destiny player, there is a character named that will have a slight resonance to some folks. Not for the better in a way, but I was like, really? This is what they did to this character? That's fucked up. But like I said, if you know what I'm talking about, you then hit us up in the comments or something. That being said, we're going to push on to the books of the week unless Agent 70 have any closing comments.
No. That's more than enough on those 2 episodes because, as we said, they just came out yesterday. So we do not want to belabor the point and spoil any more than we need to. All right, so we're going to transition over to the comic books of the week.
I was just waiting for you to hit it. So, all right, and we're going to start off with. Actually, this is the cover I'm probably going to use. I don't know if you saw any of the covers for this week.
Hit it. There it is. Now I hit it.
Nice. I see what you did there. Amazing Spider-Man number 19.
This issue is written by Joe Kelly as a guest spot. This is a guest spot in the wake of what was that story called? Demon Web of Demons. What was it called?
Dark Web.
Good Lord, Dark Web.
Yes.
It's written by Joe Kelly with pencils by Terry Dodson, inks by Rachel Dodson, and colors by Terry Dodson. Letters are by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So, it is evident that Zeb Wells and the current editorial crew over in the Amazing Spider-Man corner of the Marvel editorial offices are exploring or re-exploring an era in Spider-Man stories that were, that were interesting. We're talking like mid-80s stuff, specifically the time when Alicia Hardy and Peter Parker were an item. Interestingly, in this current continuity, Aunt May knows what's going on to a certain extent.
Yes. Also, I love that that throwback line she uses, colloquial throwback line she uses, assuming she's using it in that way, that she uses on Peter, that makes him almost spit out his wheat cakes.
Now you're gonna make me look it up because I forgot. I read it yesterday, so I'm just like,
I did too. Actually, no, I read it earlier. But yeah, so for those who are watching the video version, I just switched over to this variant cover for Amazing Spider-Man, which I kind of like in its simplicity, which is basically to subscribe to not subscribe, describe to Agent 70. It's basically the Amazing Spider-Man headdress on the top on a peach background with a letter on it, and right underneath the Amazing Spider-Man says "No prize," and of course it has Spider-Man swinging in. I don't know what prompted them to do that one, but I feel like I appreciate that one as an older Marvel fan who's never gotten a no prize.
That's funny. Oh, I see it now. That's funny. I didn't even I totally glossed over that.
Yeah. So but that being said, yeah, so while this is taking place after Dark Web, I was talking to Agent 70 before this, and this is also taking place, as it says in the beginning, after the Mary Jane and Black Cat Dark Web miniseries, which I believe was either 2 or 3 issues. And I don't know, like I was telling Agent 70, I don't remember how that thing ended, which kind of goes to tell you how much of a non-starter Dark Web was in the first place. But also, I remember it happening. I remember reading it. I just don't remember anything that happened because that particular story was supposed to was set up to kind of hash out some things or something between Felicia and Mary Jane, which I don't recall ever happened. That being said, going into this issue, we see, as Agent 7 said, Spider-Man and Black Cat kind of going around, but then they kind of take a trip upstate for a kind of getaway, and what seems to be a planned moment run into a couple of different situations that I won't give away, but one of which has something to do with what I just mentioned.
Right.
So I was like, that was, well, it was already said that that part was plotted, but to what extent, I'm not entirely sure. Well, actually, like debate, because actually it said why, now that I think about it, which was actually handled in a interesting adult way. You know, at least for comics anyway. So it was like, okay, that's an interesting way to handle that. You could have, you know, could have been slightly different, could have done something else, but what it didn't do was give us any more info about the other side of that situation that we still don't know about with Mary Jane.
19 issues in.
Which it still continues to be frustrating.
Right. Because they told us it was going to be what, April, right?
Right.
I remember it was the April solicitations. Like, we're finally going to tell you 25 issues later. What the? Seriously?
I was about to say, it's almost something like Agent 70 channeled Hot Aunt May there for a second.
And, you know, let the Ramones play right after, right?
Exactly. Okay. Exactly.
All right. So I think we've covered everything we need to cover for Amazing Spider-Man number 19.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, you know, if you plan on reading this, you can go into get into that one. I think it was a fun issue, despite, you know, everything around it, but it's still not giving us what we want.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
Hey.
Pretty much.
All right.
Next up,
President, please.
What's next?
All right. Next up is a Black Panther number 14. Is it number 14 or 15?
It is 14. Yeah. Or 15.
No, of 15, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're right.
So this issue is written by John Ridley, with art by Herman Peralta, colors by Jesus Bertov, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So as we just described, this is the penultimate issue of John Ridley's run on Black Panther. And I'm speaking for myself when I say kind of looking forward to the next run, because I have not enjoyed this run on Black Panther. I feel like it steadily went downhill from the midpoint till now, because I liked the idea of these sleeper cell, these sleeper cells acting the way they were acting. There's a very classic twist on the Black Panther story and his own motivations for being who he is in the Marvel universe. But then the twist that Ridley put in, and now what has become of that twist, and the ramifications that have befallen T'Challa as a result of that twist, in his fortune, as well as his plan, and the twist in his plans, the twist to his plans, or the swerve that his plans took. I feel just, I'm just waiting for the story to play out, and hopefully the next writer. Wait, they have announced who the next writer is, right?
Yes, it's Ewing, Ewing, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. I was going to say I thought it was her.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say it's the Ironheart writer, but ultimately I kind of am looking forward to that and just waiting for this run to end. What do you think? And then we can talk about the actual events of the book.
I didn't really like it.
Oh, there it is.
So yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you about, well, to a point anyway, because it started out as you said, as a very good premise. Like, yeah, the whole sleeper cell thing, and T'Challa dealing with it and whatnot, and even up to the point of the whole alienation of his coworkers, friends, whatever the case may be, which is kind of similar to uh what has happened to Batman in a way, but not in the same way. You know,
Mhm.
uh, even that could have been something potentially better. Up until this point right here is when I really didn't like it, because if you're watching the video version, you're seeing the cover and you're seeing who's on the cover, and if you have any history with this show, and what do we know about the relationship between the character that is on the cover and the title character, you know that what is well, and when if you should ever happen to read this book, you know that something like what happens in this book, which really got my goat, probably would never happen under their watch. But then again, it didn't happen under their watch in a way, so that's so I'm saying. But it probably wouldn't happen at all, and I really dislike this book for what happened, especially the way it happened in this particular issue that I didn't care about. Because the folks may know there's a long-standing beef between between T'Challa and another character. Despite what the what the MCU may have suggested with a recent movie.
Right.
So, yeah, like that being said, yeah, I'm kind of with Agent 70 in the fact that he is like, all right, just bring on the next creative team, because like we only got one more issue left. Just go ahead and do it. I was trying to give really the benefit of the doubt, and then he goes up and does stuff like this. I was like, you know what, you just all right, go ahead, just get it, just leave. I don't know for whatever reason prompted you to do this. Clearly, well, I guess it doesn't even matter. Did you read the Avengers run? Hickman's Avengers run. Whether you did or you didn't, this sucks. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I understood what Roddykat is getting at, and this is, again, just touching upon a conversation we had just prior to the show starting. I understood why. I understood why, and ultimately, the twist on the why is, was understandable. That's about as far as I'll go without spoiling anything.
Gotcha. Before we move on, if you're watching the video version again, there just like the Amazing Spider-Man variant cover, there's also a Black Panther no prize version of the cover, which I equally also like. Again, kind of nostalgic. So, but it's cool. So from that, we can move on to, I guess we can go on to Wrap It now. Well, wait, yeah, I guess we can go on to Wrap It, unless you want to do that other book we have in common.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Captain America, Symbol of Truth, number 10.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm literally making like semi Valentine's Day plans. At the same time.
Right. Get yours, Agent 70.
I was like, wait a second. I saw my phone blink. I was like, oh wait, I have to take this one. Captain America, Symbol of Truth.
He's like, ooh, all right, yeah.
I'm like, wait, what are we talking about again? Captain America, Symbol of Truth, number 10.
It is not often. I'm gonna go ahead and say this before he finishes the creative team. It is not that often where Agent 70 is at a loss for words. So this is monumental.
Only because I'm trying to compose what I want to say and still spit out what we're trying to do on the show.
Oh man, that's great.
You gotta love it. Real life intersecting with the Comic Book Chronicles, folks.
Indeed.
Captain America, Symbol of Truth, number 10 is written by Tochi Onyebuchi with art by R.B. Silva, colors by Jesus Bertov, and letters by our favorite lettering python, BC's Joe Caramagna. I kind of understood, kind of playing off of what we talked about with regards to Black Panther number 14. I kind of understood why Onyebuchi went in this direction. I just wasn't a fan of how it was executed because this had been teased for so long.
Yeah.
Like the way this story, this particular part of the story played out.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels, I don't know. I feel like this part is kind of unnecessary. Like I get they've been setting it up for the last few issues, but it still was like, why? Like, okay, I get it. Like something got set up, and apparently it while it didn't go the way the person that set it up originally wanted, it still kind of went the way they wanted. But at the same time, like, okay, so what's the purpose of this? So what was the purpose of this happening? And it even still didn't, ring true, even knowing that it was set up in a certain way by a person, and there was some external things involved. Put it that way.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can safely say that I didn't entirely enjoy this one either. Which is kind of sad, but at the same time, they can't all be bangers. Maybe the next issue is gonna turn the ship around or something, or not turn the ship around. Make things better. I doubt it, but this is what we got going on right now. So no knocks to Tochio and Ibuchi. They're doing what they're doing. Like hopefully it's gonna pan out the way they want it to, at the very least, because it's not really working for me. So I don't know if we would even want to go into what actually happens in this issue.
I mean, I think the way I led it is the extent that I want to talk about, because if you have been reading Symbol of Truth, you know that I have not been the biggest fan of the character development of this new Falcon, and the direction that they're taking it in is kind of weird, but at the same time understandable, because it's the seeds for this were planted a long time ago.
Right, but there's also that seemed like something that would have happened a long time ago.
Right.
So, and I guess Onyebuchi said, well, they didn't do anything with it then, let's do something with it now, or and then tie it into what's going on with this. There's a reason that we don't know about, but it's right now it's kind of whatever. That being said, I think we're going to push on to rapid fire.
Sure. I'm gonna spin it up.
Nice.
I ain't got time to breathe.
Alrighty, first up, I do not have nearly as many books as Roddykat. First up is Batman and the Joker, the Deadly Duo, number 4 of 7. It's written by Mark Silvestri, with art by Mark Silvestri. Colors are by Arif Prianto, and letters are by Troy Peteri. So, this issue of Batman and the Joker, the Deadly Duo, is essentially Batman and the Joker in Speed, but on a train. That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
That is exactly how it plays out.
Interesting.
And that is, and ultimately the story develops further with regards to the backstory as to why this kind of new antagonist created basically for this book, for the series, is what their motivations are, basically further elaborating on it. So next up is Daredevil number 8, I'm sorry. It's written by Chip Zdarsky, with art by Marco Cacchetto, colors by Matthew Wilson and Eric Arciniega, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So this issue did not exactly play out the way I thought it would, but it seems like Zdarsky may have some more things up his sleeve when it comes to Matt Murdock, Frank Castle, and the rest of the Marvel Universe. But let's just say that the Fist gets let's just say there is an old adage about what is more effective, the open hand or the closed fist. And in this issue, the open hand remains so. I'll leave it at that. So you have to be a little bit in the know on this story to get where that's coming from. But ultimately, there's still plenty of story left to be told. Last but not least is Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants #1. It's written by Al Ewing, with art by Paco Medina, colors by J. David Ramos, and letters by VC's Ariana Mar. Now, let me tell you, I was taken by surprise here. I anticipated this book telling a story akin to, or at least similar to, something out of the Age of Apocalypse. It is not. It is literally what is happening in the X-Men corner of the Marvel Universe in the wake of the events of the Sins of Sinister reveal. And I like that. And I really like some of the character developments that have come across in this quote-unquote 10 years post Sins of Sinister reveal. That's the timeline of this particular issue, and I believe that's the timeline for like the next 2 issues that kind of take up this 10-year period. There's a timeline that is at the back of the book. Ultimately, we're going to find out how this all plays out over the span of 10 years, 100 years, and I think 10,000 years or 10 million years. I forget.
That
I don't have it.
10,000 sounds right, because I think that's
Right,
going
so
back to
yeah,
the
it's a
Hodgepodge
good amount.
stuff.
It's like
Yeah.
I believe it's like the factor of 10. It's like 10, 100, then 1,000.
Right.
Right. So it's like 10, 1,000, then 10,000. So, but ultimately, this is probably, and I'm spoiling it now, is probably the strongest book I read this week. I really enjoyed reading this.
I can agree with that. I won't say too much else about it, but yeah, it was even though I probably am going to find myself rereading it after the show, because like I kind of, while I read it, I kind of, there's some things I didn't really take in, but I, but I did enjoy it for what it was, especially interestingly enough, coming out of the back half of the book with what that's setting up. Yeah. Is that it for you? That is it for you, actually.
That is for me. It is. That is it for me.
Alrighty. And if you're watching the video version, there's a bunch of variant covers, of which I will not do all of, but nevertheless, they're there. For myself, we're going to start off with Static Shadows of Shadows of Dakota. #1 of, I believe, 5 or 5 or 6. I can't remember. Actually, I have to go back and look at the thing. Oh yes, it is of 6. Excuse me. So I have to change that in my thing. Let's see. It's written by Nicholas Draper Ivy and Vita Ayala, with art by Nicholas Draper Ivy, and letters by And World Design. So this particular miniseries was supposed to come out back in October and November, and they pushed it until now. And I say it was supposed to come out because they even like covers was already out, and they already had it listed on Comics List as coming out on a certain day. But again, like I said, they pushed it up until now for probably obvious reasons, but reasons nonetheless. And this is season 2 of Static, which, as you recall, there was a season 1 last year going into this. So which was pretty much kind of the retelling of Static's origin, that kind of situation. But now we're kind of into the thick of it, and without going too far into it, we find Static, back in action, kind of saving the day, both as Static and as Virgil, in two different ways. Well, I guess in two similar ways in a way. But we also find him as Virgil coming across new Bang Babies, and one of which he's mentoring. But at the end of this, we also find out that there's an antagonist that is coming into play, that we meet at the end of this issue. And I know the name, and it is given at the back of this book, but I'll save it for the next issue because it wasn't an official introduction to the character. Yeah. Next up, excuse me, we have Joe Fixit number 2 of 5, I believe. Which, it's kind of funny that I'm the one reading this book.
Okay.
Because the particular era that this is being set in, I was not reading the Hulk. I do know of the character of Joe Fixit and how he got.
Oh, you mean when the character was introduced?
Correct. Yeah, because I think this was, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a '90s thing.
Was it late 80s?
Okay. Well, either way, I wasn't reading the Hulk either way. So
yeah, I was going to say late 80s.
Right.
Because if you recall, it was Fixit came out part way, well, just before, I believe. McFarlane was on the Hulk before he moved over to Spidey.
Okay.
So yeah, this is 80s.
Gotcha. Well, it's funny that you mentioned Spidey because Spidey is in this particular book. Oh, and actually, let me go ahead and so it's written by Peter David with art by Yildire Zinar, excuse me, with color artist D. Cuniff and letters by VC's Ariana Mara. So yeah, last issue. So again, this takes place in the same era of when Joe Fix is kind of already established, in LA. And apparently Peter Parker was just so happened to be there, for a thing he was doing at the time, which I don't remember also, but it was something that had about a book he had of his Spider-Man pictures and something other. But regardless, he was in LA, and the Kingpin just so happened to be there, which was an amusing interaction between Joe Fixit and the Kingpin in the first issue of this book. Well, the Kingpin is back for round 2 in a way, but he kind of comes at it in a different kind of way, which ends up setting up a fight between Joe Fixit and Spider-Man for reasons that I will not get into. But yeah, this was the first issue I kind of love because of a certain part, which will probably be on CB Caps at some point soon. But this was also an entertaining issue for other reasons, especially like I said, the first interaction between Spidey and Joe into this issue, and something that Peter / Spidey was thinking was going to happen but didn't. So next up, we have Avengers War Across Time number 2, which is I believe of 5, which is being written by Paul Levitz with art by Alan Davis, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit, which also was approved by the TVA. This book. Because you can see the little the comics code like stamp on the side of it, which I don't know if it was in the last issue, but I noticed it on this one, which was kind of fun to see. So this takes place during the time of the original Avengers, and I say original Avengers with Cap, after Cap came into the fold. So this is like single digit still. Well, this is like issue 11 of the Avengers, I think, if I'm not mistaken, because they had just come across Kang in the first place. And apparently Kang is also in the background of this, still doing some things. I wonder why.
I wonder if it has anything to do with why we're going on movie protocol.
I wonder. But in this case,
Arsenio when you need him. Things that make you go,
Indeed.
That needs to be. I was about to say I need to pull that.
Sure, that'd be a good one to pull.
Yeah, that's a good one. I gotta find that. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, so the original after another fight with a thing that Kang sent up against the Avengers, they decided to try to find Kang. So, which means they have to enlist the help of the Fantastic Four, or more importantly, Reed Richards and his time machine, so they can kind of go take the fight to Kang. Well, they go to the Baxter Building, and the FF are not home, but they do run across Willie Lumpkin and some shenanigans that was wrought by said mailman. Let's just say, in relation. Also, apparently, the person they end up battling was the person was the being that made Thor's hammer. So some of you Thor folks probably already know who that is and what that's about. But no Kang to be found in any part of this issue, with the exception of the last stories. Like, yeah, but Kang's still in the background plotting something, which was kind of funny. So there's that. Like I said, it's one of those. Hey, this is a kind of a new tale, but a new untold tale in a time before now. So we know what it's for, but whether it ends up being anything else coming out of it, who knows? Next up, Secret Invasion number 4 of 5. I find the link. Yep. Here we go. Excuse me. Written by Ryan North with art by Francesco Mobili, color artist Jordi Berlayer, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So, there was an article that I was going to put in the that I had put in the news with something that happens in this book. It's really not that bad, not that serious. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's Maria Hill versus Iron Man, and she gets a version of the War Machine armor to use against them. The whole thing has to do with what Maria sees to be an invasion of both the Skrulls, but apparently Tony Stark has been working with them for reasons. Again, I wonder why this is happening now.
Things that make you go,
Exactly. So clearly Maria Hill Maria Hill taking out an Abigail Brand type situation is like, no, they got to get off this planet because they're the Skrulls and dangerous and this and that and other, and I'm trying to protect the planet, this and that and the other. Kind of has her thought patterns as to how things should be going, and Tony, like I said, going another way. But it doesn't really stop there, but I won't get into that because there's a little bit of turnabout at the end of this that we will see the ramifications of in the next issue from their fight. Next up, Star Wars Darth Vader number 31. Boom. Written by Greg Pak, art by Ibrahim Roberson, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So there's a flashback to an alternative ending of one part of Revenge of the Sith, let's just say. But it turns out to be in someone's head. But then we cut to the present time of this issue where Vader has Padme's former handmaidens in his employ because they're trying to save one of their own from him. And this whole couple of things that's going about with this. But there's also another side plot with the grandson of Wat Tambor from the Clone Wars, who has had it in his mind to say that, nah, I can take down Vader, and Sabe is basically trying to talk him down from it. Because anyone who goes up against Vader, probably won't have a good time of it. So we're starting to see that the seeds of that kind of happening, and also Vader's kind of testing these handmaidens because he's like, nope, y'all are gonna work for me and with me because join with me and we'll rule the empire type situations. I'll use you as I fit. Yada yada yada. Vader stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that, folks, is it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
Man, I really need to find a way to get these times down. This sucks. So, Kliqs of the week, folks. We did not get anything from our other co-hosts.
All right.
Yeah, it happens. They were probably busy or didn't care. I don't know.
Let's just say they were too busy.
I would reckon that being the case. I was not suggesting that they don't care, but sometimes, some weeks, let's face it, some weeks it's kind of harder than others for us. And I'm not making any excuses for them by any means, but let's just say it's kind of hard to come up with a click, even if you have read something, and you're not busy. So, is it safe to assume that you're going with the one that you mentioned?
I think so. I think I am going to go with Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants, #1.
Okay. That's
my Kliq of the week. It's the strongest book I read this week. Shout out to Al Ewing and Paco Medina for good work. Other than, I guess the best part is that they remind me how much I dislike Irene Adler and Raven Darkhold.
Indeed. As I flash a couple of covers there for that. For myself, like I said, I need to go back and reread that one, so I can't very well in good conscience make that a Kliq for myself. But given the subject matter, I pretty much could. I am weirdly finding myself either teetering between, and I hate to say this, Amazing Spider-Man and probably. Oh, okay. So, hey, we got a Kliq from Dirt.
Look at that. He must have been listening.
Well, yeah, he was like, oh, it's not too late. But so I'm going to go ahead and say his while I'm thinking about mine. His is Harrower #1 from, I believe, Boom Studios. Let me see, I might be wrong. No, I'm right. Oh, Boom Studios, Harrower #1. Nice. And there's the cover right there. I did see that, but I didn't look too far into it as I was looking up the covers. And it makes sense that I know from what I did see, kind of seemed like something probably he would be up his alley. So I'm not surprised by that. But back to mine, I think, like I said, it's either going to be, weirdly enough, Amazing Spider-Man 19 or Joe Fixit #2. And I think I'm actually going to go with Amazing Spider-Man #19. There was some fun stuff in the book, despite what we did, despite what we did not get from this book. But it was, like I said, it was a fun read because of a couple of things that happened in the issue, And for myself this week, as much as I read, there wasn't a whole lot that was just like breakout great. Like Static was also pretty good this week, also, and the art in it, which I assume he uses. Actually, I'm almost thinking about changing my Kliq now, but I'm not. But yeah, you should definitely check out Static: The Shadows of Dakota now that it's finally come out. And the art looks good, and I think he probably does it by computer, but I'm not sure how his work process. But it kind of looks like he does. So, which is netted some pretty good work.
Got it.
Looks like. And that being said, as I showed the last couple of covers, we are going to go into the news section, but first an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Funko Fan at First Sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise such as their custom DIY pop figures, art books, skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Geek Bar Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. Now we get into the news.
Alrighty then. Cinematic news. How Wakanda Forever's trailers secretly revealed Shuri is the Black Panther, which realistically, at a certain point, if you watch enough trailers, it was very apparent anyways. So, nevertheless, actually, this article even mentions it. That says that director Ryan Coogler said that the reveal of Shuri as the MCU's new Black Panther was evident from the first trailer. Which there you go. During the director's commentary for Wakanda Forever, Coogler shared that Shuri's role as Black Panther was hidden in plain sight in the film's first trailer, and then it goes through how the trailer went down, which I'm sure at this point we have all seen. So. Yes, good to know, but not necessarily the best kept quote unquote secret.
Right.
Like, yeah, there were
comic book reader.
Well, there is that too, but I mean, yeah, were other speculations that could have been the case, that were kind of logical. But next up.
This past Wednesday, Black Panther Wakanda Forever finally arrived on Disney Plus, and its streaming debut added another milestone to the film's impressive list of accomplishments. As per Variety, Disney announced that since it first hit the platform on February 1st, the sequel has racked up enough views worldwide to give Disney Plus its most streamed Marvel movie premiere to date. Okay.
I'm gonna put this in the clickbait section, but I almost put it in the actual news, but I didn't. There's watching the video version. There's a article on the side of this here article page about Dominique Thorne's screen test with Chadwick Boseman. Apparently, she first went up for Shuri before she got the role of Riri Williams.
I heard that she was doing there's a Marvel podcast for Black Panther, and I heard Dominique Thorne. That's her name, Dominique Thorne, right?
Yes.
He's not a supervillain. Dominique Thorne, in an interview with Ta-Nehisi Coates, mentioned that she was coming off the disappointment of losing out on the role of Shuri.
Right.
And basically, she was called back by Nate Moore. Saying, hey, by the way, we have something else for you.
Right. So she didn't completely lose out from the deal. Okay, now I'll see something else I'm gonna have to look into, but nevertheless, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is cast and crew on bringing Marvel's new hero to animated life. So, yeah, that show is coming up soon. Actually, yes, very soon. Come to think of it, as the time of this recording, tomorrow. February the 10th. So yeah, I might talk about it. I don't know if Agent 70 is going to be interested in it, but it says here that it is the first original Marvel cartoon in years, in the sense that it's not releasing ahead of any cinematic plans for the title characters. At least none that we totally curl off. Because yeah, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is the current iteration of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur with Lunella Lafayette and Lawrence Fishburne, who I just recently saw on, I think he was on The View or something recently, was talking about the show. Which also prompted me to say that, oh yeah, this must be coming out very, very soon, since he's hitting the circuit for it. But yeah, from what I've seen, it's a cute looking show, so I may check out an episode or two of it. I know already for a fact that they've kind of changed a couple of things about Lunella's origin, but I'm curious to see how it's going to play out in the year. So that being said, next up.
All right. So during an interview with The Wrap, director Matt Shakman has revealed that the MCU Fantastic Four movie will begin filming in early 2024. So that fits the timeline that's kind of been set by the announcement that FF has been delayed from its original November 2024 release date to February 2025. So that gives people idea about casting timing, like the announcement of casting.
Right. And I believe I've seen another article, not article, but I've seen another tweet out there saying like, yeah, if you've seen anything on casting news, it's bunk.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's what also might have been prompted from this as well. Let's see. Disney is bringing the first episode of The Mandalorian to broadcast television. So it seems that ahead of the third season's premiere on March 1st, Disney announced that it would air Chapter 1 of The Mandalorian on February 24th. It says that you can see said episode on ABC Freeform or FX. And all three will air the 41-minute debut at 8 o'clock on February 24th. I didn't say that. They're not doing the whole thing. They're just doing that one episode, which I guess if that's enough, maybe somebody to be like, oh, I want Disney Plus or something. Synergy. Got to use it some kind of way. Next up.
All righty. Disney Studios announces Frozen 3, Toy Story 5, and Zootopia 2. What? I had no idea.
Yep. I remember when the folks at Pixar said, "No, we're not ever doing sequels."
Toy Story 5.
Toy Story 5.
Oh my goodness, yo. I get Zootopia 2. All right, that's kind of like, and I actually really get Frozen 3 because as long as they figure out a song for Adina Menzel and Kristen and Kristen Bell to sing,
right,
they're going to sell that Frozen sequel.
Oh, for sure. There's definitely a built-in market on that particular one. So for certain. If we need another Toy Story 5, and is it going to be what I see? I don't know if this article says it, but apparently someone out there is saying that Tim Allen is saying that
it's going to be Chris Evans. No, I'm kidding.
It should be Chris Evans, but it sounds like what people are saying is like it's definitely going to be Woody and Buzz. So that doesn't necessarily mean it could potentially mean that he's back as the character. But yeah,
right.
I think we were at this point after that Lightyear movie. Which, did you see that? Yeah, neither have I. It might as well just go ahead and give it to Evans, or keep it at Evans, I should say. So yeah, that is the news for that. Next up. Oh wait, that's me.
Alrighty. No, I was gonna say you got next.
Yeah, no, because you took that.
This is whack news, by the way.
It very much is. So, AMC theaters should change movie ticket prices based on seat location. That makes yeah. So it says here that the initiative kicks off on Friday at select AMC locations, and this is probably why it's way more whack for Agent 70 in New York, Chicago, and Kansas City, and will be expanded to all domestic AMC locations by the end of the year. Essentially, it says front row seats will be available at a lower price, while seats in the middle of the theater will be available at a higher price because the middle seats are the prime real estate for a movie theater. They're not slick. Everyone knows this crap.
Unreal. When I saw this, I couldn't believe what I was reading.
Right. Well, actually, I can believe it because you know good and
I
well
know
big
because everything's
theater-
getting milked for every last cent. I get that.
Exactly, but it still doesn't make it better. I get you also. So part of this kind of makes sense. It's still fucked up because, like I said, most of the people is going to go for the middle, but at the same time, those front seats are not great. So having them as a cheaper price, sure, but it's still not doesn't make anything any better.
Right. And what makes me laugh is that oftentimes, depending on the theater, sometimes sitting all the way in the back is the most desirable place to sit of all. But
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see if this pricing plan actually keeps progressing into reality.
right, and
Draw their plan.
right, yeah, right, exactly. According to this, the plan is by the end of the year to have them in all of the locations. So, thank goodness the theater that I go through is not an AMC. Next up, though,
Harley Quinn Valentine's special casts Abbott Elementary stars Tyler James Williams, everybody hates Chris, and Quinta Brunson as Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Okay, so this is titled Harley Quinn: A Very Problematic Valentine's Day Special. Yikes!
don't you take the next one also?
Fine. Harley Quinn, a very problematic Valentine's Day special, is also set to feature Ted Lasso's Brett Goldstein. Oh my goodness. All right, let's see who he's supposed to be playing. Goldstein is starring in a one-man show in which he shows off his chest hair while reading Lord Byron's poems and polishing his Emmy. What the?
So basically, he's playing himself.
He's gonna do it as Roy Kent. No, they just want him to do it himself. Okay, that's so funny.
Yeah, I had intended to flip the articles so you can get that one for obvious reasons.
Now I've forgotten when the new. I don't think they've announced when the new Ted Lasso is supposed to come out, but I am waiting.
I thought you said later this year.
Yeah, I know, but like not
specifically.
They didn't say exactly.
I got you. Yeah, I don't remember either. I don't know what this article says. I'm pretty sure the kids are usually be like, yeah, well, Ted Lasso's da 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 da, but it does not. Also, apparently Brett Goldstein was on Sesame Street.
Yes,
and got into according to this article down here, got into a stare down with Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah, that's it's all part of the fun. But yeah, I've actually reposted, I think, on different social media, something that Brett Goldstein did with the characters on Sesame Street. It was pretty good.
Cute. Yeah, that's cute. But next up, The Flash's final season sees the return of 3 major characters. That would be actors Rick Cosnett, Matt Letcher, and Jessica Parker Kennedy as their respective Arrowverse characters. I believe, yes, Eddie Thawne and Nora West Allen, respectively, because those first 2 played the same character at different times. So it says here that, quote, "We're so excited to have Rick join us once more as we put together our final batch of emotional and thrilling episodes," said the showrunner Eric Wallace. "It's especially wonderful as Rick was an integral part of the show's inaugural season, so having him return to help us conclude our show's incredible 9-year run was more than a privilege. It was a no-brainer." And the article kind of goes on from there. Next up,
All right. So the Legends of Tomorrow will return for Flash's final season. So, this is apparently bittersweet news for anyone that is a fan. But the Legends of Tomorrow cast will make an appearance, probably for the final time, during the last season of The Flash, which is currently, in production.
Yep. The Arrowverse is coming to a close, folks. They're pulling out all the stops. Shout out to Benji Plays too, who just joined us in the chat. How you doing? Glad you could join us. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But James Gunn reassures fans that Warner Brothers cannot interfere with the DCU. So in a tweet from Gunn, which was shared on Reddit, and I believe I didn't. I was about to say I shared this article, but Reddit, anyway. The filmmaker said to a curious follower that the DCU won't have interference from Warner Brothers, adding that DC is separate from Warner Brothers as of a couple of months ago. I'll believe that when I see it. Because I can guarantee you the next time they have tax write-off cuts or something that'll affect, someone's going to put it on the WB. And someone's probably going to be James Gunn. So it says here that it goes on to Gunn's prior mentions of how the DC property was handled, DC history was handled, and blah 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 blah. So we don't necessarily have to go in there talking about they were giving IP away like they were party favors to any creators, which I'm entirely wrong, but at the same time, okay, sure. You take that a certain way, you're just like, some of that stuff could have been good. But anyway, next up.
Alrighty, Donnie Yen had one specific and stylish John Wick 4 request. So, bringing the legendary Donnie Yen into John Wick Chapter 4 meant letting him suit up for the part. Speaking to Total Film Magazine, director Chad Stahelski revealed how he convinced the Ip Man star to play opposite Keanu Reeves as John Wick's blind... Oh, this is a spoiler. So I'm not going to say that part. Thanks to Yen and Stahelski's love of their respective movies. So what he basically sold him on, Donnie was like, I get what you're going for. I just don't want to be the old, quote, blind guy. That's a spoiler. With a cane. So he's like Stick. That's a Daredevil reference, folks. Stahelski recalled. He came back and goes, if it's all the same to you, I'd rather be the cool guy in the suit. It's John Wick. It's a suit movie. It's cool. I was like, you know what, Donnie, you're absolutely right. That's fine.
Plus, I'm pretty certain one of Donnie Yen's older movies was him as probably a blind martial artist.
Right. I love the fact that he said it's a suit movie because obviously John Wick is running around in a suit.
Oh, he's not wrong. So yeah, if you have not seen Ip Man or Iron Monkey, you should really do so because those are great movies.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been a long time.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Yeah. Next up, though, Scott Snyder and Jock's Witches lands animated series at Amazon. So the series doesn't have a production release date, but it is a joint venture between Plan B Entertainment, Project 51 Productions, Kevin Cold, it sounds like Captain Cold, and Amazon Studios. Yeah, according to Variety. Snyder and Jock will both serve as executive producers on the project. And if it wasn't clear, it's an animated adaptation of their series. Good on them. Next up.
Daniel Day Kim is set to star in and executive produce Butterfly for Amazon TV. So this is an adaptation of a spy thriller graphic novel titled Butterfly, originally by Arash Amel, Marguerite Bennett, Antonio Fuso, and Stefano Simeone. Okay. And this is set to be a new dramatic TV series for Amazon Studios with Daniel Day Kim attached to star. Okay.
Yeah, apparently they're going to be shooting in South Korea, so yeah, that's not going to be money.
Maybe they're getting huge tax breaks.
Quite possibly. Transformers Earthspark is getting a second season and more episodes drop in March on Paramount Plus. I've not seen one episode of that. But so apparently Paramount Plus shared that that there is going to be a second season and that let's see, the next 8 episodes of the first season will be available to stream on March the 3rd. And there's also a trailer that is attached to this article that according to the article writer says it's fun to watch. Cool. Next up.
All right, next up, Apple TV's Godzilla will feature new and old kaiju monsters. Let's see. So it's going to introduce audiences to new creatures as well as monsters from previous kaiju media. Director Matt Shackman, there's that name again, revealed details of the series' production in an interview with comicbook.com, saying, quote, "It was fun, and we were creating a lot of cool titans and monsters, some new, some old, so it's fun." He's excited.
Yeah. Are you excited?
Meh.
Not
I
before
mean,
you see
it'll
what
be
exactly-
fun, and hopefully they put some money into it. So, I mean, it's only going to be so much money, but still.
Right. Yeah, to see what exactly this is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now we go over into the anime corner. Okay. My Hero Academia.
I was about to say Roddykat doesn't get the reference. Like I literally did the scout salute just now,
Right.
and Roddykat's like, okay.
Well, I usually have seen you do that when you play the Attack on Titan thing. So
This is it was Attack on Titan.
No, it wasn't. Oh no, I mean the other, like the anthem thing that you usually do.
Oh yeah, but it's the same thing. It's
Right.
like one is a character saying it, and
Right.
the other is the song. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was expecting.
I get it.
So, anywho's, My Hero Academia is now getting ready for the final slate of episodes for the 6th season. And apparently kicking things off in style with is a close look at the anime's character design for Deku's Dark Hero Makeover. Lord, Deku's going to be dark and broody.
A little, but it's straight out of the manga.
Sure. I mean, it's comic based, so yeah, sure.
Right. And ultimately, I was about to say, I definitely get Horikoshi's heavy American comic influence playing into this. Because it is definitely like straight out of multiple, there are multiple influences you can see playing out for this particular storyline.
Right. And not even having seen it, like given with what I just read there, I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised. So, but it says here that it basically goes on to talk about how the 6th season has been spending its time, which if you've already on it, you already know. So, and then it goes into the latest episode, which I won't talk about because, in case you're not caught up on it, I have no idea what's going on that show. Next up.
Alrighty. A Titan. Woo! The final season, part 3 anime's first half, which is tough to hear, but there's not that much left in terms of the adaptation of the story. It is set to air as a 1-hour special on March 3rd. March 3rd! That is right around the corner, folks. So NHK announced on Thursday that the first half, as I said, will air as a 1-hour special on March 3rd, with the second half airing later this year. So they're going to make us wait.
So, which brings to something that I was going to bring up about this. I remember a time, granted, we had to wait for localization or at least subtitles for a lot of stuff, but we were still getting, like, for the most part, whole quote unquote seasons of shows before we had to wait. But now that they gotten to the point to where we can break this up And I mean, COVID didn't help or hurt anything, but this was going on before that. Well, they started breaking up seasons in half so they could, and this is me editorializing, but so that they could make more money on the physical and digital sales, because they still break those up in parts also. Not saying that now again, that is me speculating. That's not saying that COVID has pretty much taken a big toll on Japanese production of things, and even still, from what I'm understanding, because I heard COVID is on the rise, on as we've talked about in the last couple of weeks. I'm not suggesting that it's just because of money, but money is involved at some point along the line, So making folks wait and is the side effect of the way things are nowadays in that respect. And believe me, I know Attack on Titan fans and Agent 70 included, not included, whichever the case may be, lies. I'm not going to speak for him. Are very much waiting for anything, anything coming to them from it.
Pretty much.
So you can see that on social media a lot. Next up, though, Demon Slayer Swordsmith Village arc opens theatrically at number 111. Hoo-ha. The first slam dunk drops to number 3. Which I still haven't watched that PBS special on hip hop. I knew I forgot something, but there's my weekend plans. So it says here that the theatrical screenings of the upcoming Swordsmith Village arc ranked at number 1. Like I said, it sold 113,000 tickets and earned 8.75 million US in the first 3 days in Japan. Not surprising there. The screening opened last Friday the 3rd in 418 theaters in Japan, and included episodes 10 and 11. We talked about this thing was happening. They did the last couple of episodes of the Entertainment District, and then went into the Sword Village arc / movie. The screenings will play in theaters over 95 countries and territories, and I think we're supposed to get it here in a couple of months. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah,
I don't think there's an actual. I thought there was an actual date I saw somewhere.
I think we did talk about it like in passing one time for that, but that was like weeks ago. But it also says here that the Swordsmith Village arc will premiere on television in April with a 1-hour special, and I believe that might be Japan, and I think Crunchyroll will have it like the day after or something like that, whenever they decide to do it. And it just kind of goes into numbers from there and other stuff, but we and some other properties, but we won't get into that. Next up.
All right, so we are transitioning over to the manga corner / comic book corner. So,
You got it. 100%.
So apparently, the Jujutsu Kaisen manga has reached a major turning point in the Culling Game arc. So if you're not interested in knowing what's going on there, tune the hell out of what I'm about to say. But apparently there's some activation of a binding vow with Yuji Itadori at the worst possible time and blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to spoil it for anybody. Read this article if you want.
Yeah. But chances are the people who are up on Jujutsu Kaisen are probably up on the manga, waiting for the second season. So, Spy Family's novel and guidebook get an English language release. So, according to some site, Viz Media announced that it will release the novel Spy Family, Family Portrait, and the official guidebook Spy Family, the official guide Eyes Only, as part of their fall 2023 lineup. The novel will disclose 5 original stories that featured the family going on all kinds of outings, including, and yes, it does say outings in this article, including Anya going on a camping trip, Yuri's babysitting adventure with Anya, Frankie looking for romantic advice from Lloyd, which I could have sworn we got in the last few episodes of of the show, but maybe some more. I don't know. Yoris Terra admits a family portrait painting session and a story about strangers absorbing the forgers. Which has happened a couple of times in the anime anyway. So it says here that there's going to be behind the scenes details, an interview with mangaka Tatsuya Endo, unseen illustrations, as well as illustrations from 16 artists as a tribute to the series. Then it goes into the artists, including Attack on Titan's Hajime Isayama. There you go. No price or word on when exactly this is going to come out, but nevertheless, look out for that. I'm sure it'll probably come here also. Next up.
Tokyo Pop launches a new imprint with Guardian of Fukushima. Okay. So the new imprint, Comics That Matter, is set to publish a story of a man who risked his life to take care of animals that were left behind after the March 2011 meltdown at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. Wow.
I feel like this is directly opposed to what's been going on here in the States with some dude kidnapping animals.
Jeez. Yeah, let me just get the timing and publication information out. The full-length book includes an introduction by Japan scholar Roland Kells and will be published on February 28th, 2028 at the end of this month as a 144-page paperback rated for ages 10 and up with an MSRP of $19.99. Wow. God, it'll be a 12-year anniversary this year of the Fukushima. I mean, I can do the math. I gave the date, March 2011. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. We're getting old, sir. We're getting old. Next up, though, Avatar's next comic gives Azula the spotlight she deserves. So it says here, according to this article, it's been a while since she's been featured in the comics. If you know who Azula is, from Avatar: The Last Airbender, I was about to say you would understand why, but that's not entirely true. Nevertheless, she'll be headlining a graphic novel of her own called Zula in the Spirit Temple, which was apparently revealed last year and probably was. But Screen Rants recently revealed the book's release date on September 26th and 27th, being written by Faith Erin Hicks and drawn by Peter Warchman. It'll pick up where 2016's Smoke and Shadow left off, with her on the run and trying to groom Zuko into a better Fire Lord in her own weird way. Man, they messed up Azula in the show, I think, but that's just personal. This is when a mission with her followers doesn't go as planned. Azula winds up in a forest temple inhabited by a single monk. Next up.
Alrighty. Let's see. Dark Horse and Amazon announced a new set of Critical Role graphic novels. Okay, so Dark Horse, Critical Role, and Amazon Studios announced a new graphic novel series, The Legend of Vox Machina, Whitestone Chronicles, a set of prequels to Amazon's animated series. Okay, The Legend of Vox Machina. The graphic novels will be written by Marieke Niekamp from Critical Role Vox Machina, Kith and Kin, in collaboration with the Critical Role cast, with art by Tyler Walpole. The first volume, The Legend of Vox Machina, Whitestone Chronicles, Ripley, follows Dr. Anna Ripley as she contends with the Briarwoods blah, 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 blah. Okay. The book will be published in 2024, and a digital sampler is available on the Dark Horse and Amazon websites. Okay.
Obviously, you hear the name Ripley and you think aliens, or at least I do, but that could be just me. Or if you're old enough, you might think Believe It or Not. Who knows? Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow writer, gives away all of his copies for free after widespread sellout. So, Tom King, which I think I saw his tweet about this. He says, since it's sold out everywhere, I searched my house and found all of my comps of Supergirl, King tweeted Saturday. As a very small thank you for all the awesome support, I'm signing these and bringing them to Third Eye Comics in Annapolis to be given away free to customers. But that apparently already happened, so you're already late for that. As of this moment, but that was a cool thing for him to do. I would like to believe he would have kept at least one set for himself, but then again, I guess he doesn't have to because he probably got he made the thing. Anyway, next up.
And very sad, awful news. Lee Moder, the veteran comics artist who co-created the Courtney Whitmore version of Stargirl, has passed away. Comicbook.com reported he was just 53 years old. According to a family friend, Moder died quietly in his own home sometime on or before January 15th. The exact cause of his death is not yet known. Moder, also credited as the co-creator of Shinku with Ron Martz and Dreamer with Tom Payer and Tom McGraw, worked in the comics industry for close to 30 years, drawing titles like Legion of Superheroes and Wonder Woman at DC, plus Dragon Prince at Image's Top Cow Comics imprint. So yeah, I remember his art. I mean, it wasn't something that I followed, but I remember his art, and he was most active in the 90s and early 2000s. I remember that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, respects to his family and friends. Let's see. Only Doctor Doom can fix the Fantastic Four's greatest mistake. This says here that Marvel has announced details for Fantastic Four #7, which will be the title's 700th legacy issue after the heroic family first appeared over 60 years in 1961. Written by Ryan North and illustrated by Ivan Coelho, the oversized book will spotlight Dr. Doom as he tries to undo the unknown catastrophe that has made the team's ranks go their separate ways and become hated by the Marvel Universe, which we still don't exactly know the full extent of how that happened, but I guess we'll find out. Wait, what issue are we on? Are we on like 5?
Of FF?
Yeah. Or was it 5 or 6?
I think it's 5. I think we're coming into 5.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right because we just had that Johnny issue. Yeah, so I guess we'll get more info on what actually happened and why Doom's going to be the one that ended up doing whatever he's going to do. I'm not going to go any further than that because I feel like there's probably going to be some spoiler in here somewhere. But that's the thing. 700 issues, man. That's nothing to sneeze at. Next up.
All right, comic writer Ho-Che Anderson explained exactly how he got his first Marvel project, Luke Cage, City of Fire, and unfortunately how it was canceled mere weeks before it would have gone on sale. He sat down in an exclusive interview with CBR to discuss his career, and during that time he was asked about City of Fire. Despite the 3-issue miniseries being canceled in November 2021 when the 3rd issue was already halfway done, the writer is still working with Marvel and spoke about his enjoyment doing a Blade project and cool stuff for the company. He did admit that Luke Cage was painful, man, opening up about the circumstances of how, quote, right-wing nuts, unquote, and City of Fire's real-world subject matter spooked Marvel into not releasing the title. That is unfortunate.
Yeah, I remember reading that miniseries, and I don't, for obvious reasons that was just said, don't remember it ending. It just, the first 2 came out, and then poof, that was it. So, and nothing was given as to why any more issues were coming out, and now I guess we know. Also sucks, right-wing nuts. I mean, that goes without saying. Let's see, what's this next one? Marvel celebrates 60 years of Nick Fury this May. So Al Ewing will be writing a Fury it's like a Fury one-shot, simply called Fury, and will tell several different stories set across the different eras of Nick Fury and his son Nick Fury Jr., whose former name I had totally forgotten because they have pretty much buried it at this point. Let's see. it also mentions that Al Ewing, wrote the stuff for Ant-Man recently, the 60th anniversary limited series for Ant-Man, and is also doing the same for the Wasp. He's joined on Fury by a slate of artists, each drawing a different era of Nick Fury's history, including Scott Eaton, Tom Riley, Adam Kubert, and Ramon Rosanas, with a cover by Kubert that is on this article. Then it just kind of goes into a synopsis of the thing, or not a synopsis, but talking points on it. So cool. Fury #1 goes on sale May 24th. So, and yeah, we'll get more on that from the solicits that are forthcoming. Next up.
Okay, Marvel United Multiverse reveals Age of Apocalypse expansion. So this is a Kickstarter campaign, and it continues to add new heroes and villains to the game, as well as expansions and add-ons. So this is wow. So this is so you have to go to the Marvel United Multiverse Kickstarter page to check this out. But yeah, this is not what I thought it was. That's kind of funky looking.
Yeah. So I remember seeing like Transformers figures that kind of look like these ones. If you're watching the video version, you can see kind of what I'm talking about. So the game is got like miniatures and cards here. So it's kind of a mixture. It's one of those type of situations. It says here 4 hero pieces, 3 villain pieces, 108 cards, 1 mini card, 3 villain dashboards, 4 locations. It's a lot to this thing. Also, the art looks like Marvel vs. Capcom. Just a bit. So for $35 pledge, yeah, you can go check that out. Like I just said, go to the Kickstarter page if you're interested in that. Cool new G.I. Joe Classified Series figures: Snow Job, Scrap Iron, Steel Brigade, and Televiper with Bubble Bubble. It looks like have been announced. Let's see. Well, if you're watching the video version, you can see me scrolling through said figures. There's Snow Job, there's Scrap Iron, there's I don't know this character, Steel Brigade.
I was about to say he's probably on that crazy 2-page cover for that G.I. Joe anniversary issue, the last issue of the IDW series.
Yeah. Oh, it's a 2-pack of steel core troopers that come with jetpacks. The male and female trooper that will have alternate heads, sculptures, and will be armed with a number of weapons. So they're basically troopers. And we have the Televiper with the Trouble Bubble, which I feel like this is a different coloring than I remember from the animated series. Not saying that it couldn't be the case, but I never had a Trouble Bubble when I was little.
Same. I don't think I ever saw one in person.
I think that's also the case. I feel catalogs don't count either, but I think there probably was one in the store.
Right. I don't even recall seeing that.
Actually, now that I think about it,
but Trouble Bubbles came out a little bit towards the end of my G.I. Joe collecting run, so that makes some sense.
Right. But I always thought it was cool. Yeah, and I think I'd already gotten rid of a lot of stuff by that time. So
I mean, at the end of the day, I was still shopping for like younger, like extended family and friends members, younger members of the extended friends and family group. So like I was buying some G.I. Joe stuff that I thought might be cool for them.
Right.
But I still don't recall ever picking up a Trouble Bubble box to see, and actually seeing what it looked like.
Right. Every time I see something like this, I regret, and I guess going into the next story is also going into that said regret. I had to give away my Transformers, and I am very upset myself for doing that.
Ugh.
So, but going into the next story.
Awful.
Yeah.
So celebrate the last 40 years of Transformers history with Transformers Legacy action figures for boys and girls. Wow. So the new Transformers, Buzzworthy, Bumblebee, Legacy, Evolution, Origin, Autobot, Jazz. What?
Yeah, it's
Hold on.
basically the original, the Cybertronian jazz version of
Oh,
jazz.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wait a second, I gotta look for the picture. Like,
Yeah,
where's the
no, I don't
picture?
know why it's not coming up. Because it was coming up earlier.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is $24.99 and it's available in a couple of months, April 2023.
Right. So if folks remember, I doubt if a lot of folks will, but the triangular, well, that was the planes, but they still had a kind of a similar design for the Autobots in here. It was kind of a triangular version, the Cybertronian R version of those things, and that's what this is. Take our word for it. I don't know why the picture's not coming up though. Last but not least, Cake, which is the Chicago Alternative Comics Expo, is returning to an in-person event on June the 3rd and 4th at Broadway Armory. The event, currently run by Terrell Cannon, Sage Coffey, Chris Lopez, Tony Reckenwald, and Ed Witt, had become the premier venue for indie comics in Chicago. It had been canceled back in 2020 due to the pandemic, and they decided to postpone it until this particular year, 2023, last year, due to said pandemic and the difficulty of putting on a show with a short lead time, according to this article. Some virtual events and videos were released during the layoff, but this will be the first big event for the vibrant Chicago indie comic scene in a while. And the dates are in the article below, which, as I said, Saturday, June 3rd and 4th, in the Broadway Armory. If you're near Chicago and know where that is, then you're already there. Or Google Maps. There you go. Says here that Cake's COVID policy has been posted. And basically goes on talking about the venue and exhibit and such and such and such. So there you go. And with that, folks, brings us to the end of the news section. Can we get one last ad read?
Our last ad read of the night is for Amazon. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today.
We made it. No abrupt interruptions in the show this week. If you saw the pieces that were last week's episode, or heard last week's episode, which was probably a better job, if I do say so myself.
We apparently kept the gremlins at bay this week.
Yes, apparently. So hopefully whatever happened last week will stay wherever the hell it was. That being said, we will take this time to reiterate the fact that next week we will be on movie protocol for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So we will let you know when and or if, which is going to be the case, that we do a show. If we don't do a show next week, we will do it the week after that, and
right,
give impressions and all that other good stuff. Maybe probably get a little bit spoiler on that since it'll be a week after.
Exactly.
Or we'll probably do that either way. Whether we record next week or not, we'll probably the week after that we'll probably get a little bit spoiler on it since we will be able to then. But that will be a thing for next week, and you can tune into our social media accounts, which follows. You can find me, Roddykat, at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNerdsNeed on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PCN_Dirt on Twitter. PopCultureNet on Twitter. PopCultureNetwork.com. And all those umbrella sites they're in. And Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter. CB Cron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. The Kliq Nation, that's TheKliqNation, and thekliqnation.com. But most importantly, you can find Tim over at comicbook.com, where he's over there writing his face off. Go check under Timothy Adams and go check out the stuff and read it, give him likes and all that good jazz.
Absolutely.
You can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network, that's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast browser place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. You can find us recording every Thursday, mostly every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/thekliqnation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. Yeah, folks, that's it. Like I said, when next we meet, we will have watched some Ant-Man and the Wasp, and possibly find out what Kevin Feige may or may not have almost spilled the beans on.
Listen, I have done my level best to stay the hell away from all commercials and extra trailers.
Yeah.
So you know what? We're in the home stretch now. We're a week away.
Yeah, not tempting fate, but just saying it is what it is.
Seriously.
And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One. Wakanda Forever!